Hey guys, today is December 11th, 2012, and this is the Night Show. I wanted to highlight some issues in regards to some of the biggest dividers that we faced in the country probably over the last several years. And obviously, there's a lot of division in America today, whether it's class warfare, supposedly that war that was launched on women, and the issue of race in this country. So to begin with, one of the things that I really don't like is the whole idea of class warfare, rich stealing from the poor. Now, it depends really how you look at the issue. To me, if anybody's read the book Atlas Shrugged, if you haven't, I would highly recommend it. This book was written a good number of years back by Ayn Rand, and it's just kind of creepy how a lot of what she wrote about is unfolding today. Now, obviously, this is a fictional book, but if you look at the way things are becoming here in America, there's a lot of parallels between what she wrote about and what's happening today. Now, I can understand an issue of class warfare when you're looking at not just the top 1%. I'm talking about the fraction of that 1% that really, really has the majority of all the wealth in this country, which is really, a very, very small group of elite people. Yet, when Obama comes out and talks about taxing people and these so-called rich people, rich begins at making more than $250,000 a year, which if you look at those dollars, making $250,000 a year today is probably no different than making $50,000 back in the 80s and 90s. If you look at the way that our currency's inflated and how much more expensive stuff is today. So, unfortunately, if you exclude the very top of that 1% and you look at everybody else in the middle, this is still a very big portion of what we would consider to be the middle class. And these people do provide a lot of jobs. A lot of the people that are making over $250,000 a year are small business owners, or maybe doctors, people that run their own private practice, their own business. So what I find disturbing about this is if we start taxing these people more and we go after them, unfortunately, it's going to kill a lot of private sector jobs. And I believe this is what Barack Obama wants to do. They want to eliminate the middle class. I'm not buying this whole idea that they're here to take care of the middle class. It's pretty obvious. If we tax them less and we got rid of this health care, common sense tells me it just frees up a lot more capital to expand their business, to make it grow, hire more people, provide better jobs, better wages. Unfortunately, we're not going that direction. We need to tax these people more. It's going to destroy the middle class, basically. But I hate to see a lot of animosity towards these people. They're not rich people. The people that are at the very top of the 1%, unfortunately, these people really won't be touched. They're the ones that are donating to the campaigns. You got to follow the money. And a lot of these people end up paying their lobbyists more and they actually pay in taxes. So if that's not any indication of the crony capitalism in the society that we live in, I don't know what else is. But I find that to be very disturbing. Also, another thing that I would debate about a lot with some of the liberals I know is how, these damn Republicans just had to launch a war on women. They're going to strip them of all their rights. First of all, I don't believe for a second that a Republican would ever go in there and try to strip a woman of her right to an abortion. Regardless of what you think about it, if they leave it up to the states to decide, that's a pretty hot button issue. Additionally, the whole issue on birth control. I think we should have, easy access to these things, but I don't believe stealing from one person to pay for somebody else's, birth control. That's not right. It's that's kind of just the big thing I see in society in general with even the income tax. You're stealing from somebody else to give to somebody less fortunate. I wouldn't even say less fortunate. I think this is the land of opportunity. If people want to go out and make a good living for themselves, they have every opportunity to do so. Why do you think so many people flock here from overseas to come here and make a good living for themselves? You know, you hear countless stories of an immigrant that came overseas with 50 bucks in his pocket. Years later, he's running a multi-million-dollar business. They see the opportunity that they didn't have back home. Also, I mean, this is the freest country in the history of the world. How do women have it bad here? I just don't understand it. If you think it's so bad, I mean, try to move somewhere else. Go over to Iran. See how that is. See how they treat their women. It's just disgusting. So I think there's things that we can do, but it shouldn't be at the expense of others. It's the same thing with healthcare, or even these issues. Explain to me how you have an entitlement or a right to the service or income of others. That's what bothers me in this country. So one of the last issues that I'll touch on very briefly is just the whole issue of racism. That was just a huge problem if you look at it, especially from the liberal media. People like Chris Matthews, you know, if a tree falls down in a forest, the guy screams racism. And it's really pretty disgusting. You know, even myself, I don't agree with most of what Barack Obama does. I have nothing against the man as a person. He's probably a guy I'd like to go and sit down and have a beer with. He looks like he'd probably be a pretty cool guy. I just don't agree with his politics. I don't agree with his vision for America. And that doesn't make me a racist, period. You know, even if you go and look back throughout history, you know, who were the advocates for civil rights and, you know, freeing the slaves? It was always the Republicans. But somehow after the 60s, the tide or the tables turned around, and now all of a sudden, you know, these Democrats are all about inclusion and accepting everybody, which sometimes I just wonder how these people think and wish I could crawl inside their head. Or maybe not. I mean, these people are, they're pretty out there. But if you even look at things like affirmative action or anti-discriminatory laws, to me, that's just the essence of what racism is. If you need to treat somebody differently or look at them as less of a person that needs some sort of special treatment because of their skin color or ethnicity or whatever. Sorry, I can't talk. But to me, that's the essence of racism. You're putting somebody in a different class based on their appearance or, you know, their background. That's racist. I believe, again, that we live in the land of opportunity. There's, you know, you should be judged based off your character, based off your work ethic. If you're the most qualified person for the job should be yours. Period. You know, I just hate seeing the division in America. Why can't we all start seeing each other as equals? Even if you look at the Tea Party, these people were branded as extremists and extremely racist people. And every time I've debated a liberal on this, that's the response you get. They're racist and they're extremists. Well, show me the evidence. Produce something just to prove your point. Now, I'm not a member of the Tea Party, but I would actually tend to agree with a couple of their things, such as fiscal responsibility and a very limited government. Myself, I'm more of a conservative libertarian type person. So I think if we can, you know, do things that way, that'd be great. But not to say that there's not any people in the Tea Party that may be racist or extreme to an extent. But if you have a few limited individuals, you know, that doesn't spoil everybody else. Or that doesn't mean the group as a whole behaves that way. From what I can understand, it's a group of very practical people having peaceful protests, really for principles that America was founded upon and would actually save America if people got serious to the issues that we face. So some of those things really do bother me. I don't see this country coming together anytime soon. I think it's only going to get more divided as time goes on, and that's very unfortunate. So hopefully things do turn around. That would be the best thing for everybody involved. And those are my opinions. These are some things that I would like to touch on a little bit more in depth later, especially I am pretty fascinated with the whole class warfare and capitalism in general. I'm a strong believer in free market capitalism. So we'll leave it at that today. Pretty quick rant. Those are my opinions. Feel free to post your comments. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. But anyways, thank you for tuning in. And this is The Night Show. God bless America.